Good morning to what in effect is day 422. Friday today. Hopefully we'll be finishing off on some bits and bobs. Before I start, one of the things I love about Barbados, look, it's probably the third bird this week that seems to come into our house. And we've got a little look around, look. I was thinking, it sounds so close. It's close because he's indoors. What are you doing? Come on, Chubby. Brilliant, isn't it? The trouble is with the windows, if you're not careful, they're like flying into them, so you've got to be really careful. Otherwise, they get injured. So let's open up one of these. See? Oh, these windows open so much nicer than the other ones. Hopefully he'll fly out. So anyway, Sherman's here this morning. What are we going to do? What else are we doing today? Track was done yesterday. You saw the mess of me. He's finishing off the manhole around the front, which is going to be the third manhole. I'm going to shoot off to my daily visit to Quinman's and go and get the part for the float in the trough. It's going to be a light one today, I think. Just going to physically finish off that trough float, potentially start drilling some of the actual aluminium tracks into the around the pool area to see what they look like, and obviously getting the trough, the manhole at the front sorted. So other than that, we're pretty much good to go. AstroTurf will be going down next, so really is getting that third one finished off, getting those three stained, and then laying the AstroTurf, which is more likely going to be Monday now. So obviously we've got to wait for that to draw before we can actually finish that off, so we can actually stain the other two in the meantime, and then crack on the third one afterwards. I might just get those two tiles over in the actual cottage in and sorted. Whilst I'm on, thank you to all the subscribers. We've still got 894, I think it is today. So we're gradually creeping up a little bit, and I've just uploaded another 3 videos. I've broken this week's video down into 4 videos, so sorry for the delay in delivering. Always going to be 1 video, but it'll end up being nearly an hour, so I thought I'd break it down into eatable chunks. But anyway, I'll check in with you throughout the day as we go, but as we can see for today, gorgeous day in Barbados, as always. Absolutely stunning. And my little friend the bird is still in there. I don't mind you being in it, just don't pull on the sofa. Check with you later. Okay, manholes. 10 times better. There we go. First one stained with the first coat. Second one taking place, and then we'll get this one benched up later on today as well. So they're going to stick out the ground by quite a bit, but at least they look a bit more pretty than they did. So yeah. We actually landed up having just about enough cement as well, so we ordered all the bags a while ago. So doing that side piece, condenser base, and these manholes were literally down to our last bag. So we do need to do the real ones as well, so I'll have to order a couple more bags. But yeah, good to see that we've actually used all the cement that we actually ordered as well, and none of it went to waste. Anyway, thank you. I'll check in with you later on. Don't forget, give me some comments below. Let me know what you think of the green wall, the bench, the actual manholes themselves, and don't forget to give me a like and subscribe if you can. Thank you. Welcome back. We're now at 2 o'clock. Let me get into the pit of death. Let me show you what I've been up to. Ooh, hear that splash? I'm in the trough. So I've come back, and as you can see, it's gurgling over there. When I say gurgling, you see the sort of whirlwind going around. That's because there's not enough water in here, and that was taking in air just a minute ago, which means I had bubbles on the surface of the pool, and that was because obviously 1, the water's turned off, and 2, I'd cut that back obviously so it can't self-top. So I've now connected that back up, as you can see. It's bloody ugly because he's come out too high, so now I've had to put an elbow on the top. Can't even see where I am. I've had to put an elbow on the very top. I've had to come down, I've had to elbow again, come back up to take that down by about 10 inches. So now what will happen is the water will fill up to here, this flow will kick in, and it will stop about here. So it'll be about that deep, which is where we want it to be. So plenty enough water to make sure you don't get this gurgling going on with the actual the pump. The pump doesn't like air, by the way. If too much air goes through, then they overheat. And this one's on full, and the two in the pool, the two big ones there, they're on about half. So there's water being dragged into the pump from the swimming pool and from here, but this is the main source. And as you can see at the moment, it's struggling to pull enough water because of the level. But anyway, I've been topping it up for the last 5 minutes, 10 minutes with a trusty hose. I don't want to go too deep. I mean, the reason why I haven't turned that on yet, because you've got to give that about 40 minutes to cure. And at the same time, I don't want to go too high because I want to put these caps on when they eventually arrive. So I'm not too sure when they're coming, but I want to try and get those on before I top the water up, and I'm sure you've got to glue those in as well. So it means I have to turn the pump off, let it dry overnight, and then glue them in. And once they're glued, give them about 45 minutes, then I can turn the pump on, and obviously the pool will fill up and it will start doing what it's doing. So yeah, that's where I am on that. I've tried to sort of get as much of the actual grit and everything out of the trough I can. As you can see, there's still a lot of construction stuff in here. But this stuff is too small, it goes straight through the net, as is this brown stuff that's falling from the trees. So I'm going to have to get a hoover. So as far as I'm aware, you've got on here, you've got one in there called cleaner. There's a round hole on the side of the pool. As far as I'm aware, you shove a hoover tube into that hole, then you put a hoover connection onto it, you shove that down to the bottom of the pool and down to the bottom here, and it uses the pump to suck this off the floor, which means all of it lands up, as far as we're going, into the pump filter. If you saw last week, that's what we have to do. We have to take the filter out and clean the filter out. So anything you hoover up will land up from here, will go straight into that filter. But it needs to be done because at the moment you obviously can't sweep it and everything's too small to be caught by a net. So that's going to be the next stage, just getting that done. So I've been to Blade & Williams and bought some wood as well. And look what's happening. My neighbours are not going to be very happy. I've just finished building and it looks like next door's starting on theirs. Rob's us as well, so we put people through pain, so it looks like we've got a little bit of pain coming ourselves. But that tree is obviously going to be right in the middle of what they're looking to build, so unfortunately it looks like they're looking to chop that tree down, bless it. It's a shame they can't try and keep that in their garden. But anyway, that doesn't mean obviously we get more neighbours, it means that we're getting more value in the area. But obviously construction, noise and mess. But anyway, that's called life. So I'm going to nip around in a minute and show you the bits of wood I bought. I bought a composite board. They call it picket fence board. That's plastic, dark brown. And I've also bought a bit of wood as well. And I can't remember what the wood was called. I think it begins with C. It's not described on the actual invoice, but I'll show you it. It is going to be quite expensive in wood, but the wood is going to give us the effect we're looking for. So let me get out of this trough and take you around and show you the wood. Okay, so let me show you the two. So this is what they call picket fence. They call it picket fence because it literally is a piece with a rounded edge that you can actually make a picket fence from. So this one is a 6 foot piece. I know you can't tell because it looks as if it's taller than me. But they do it in 4 foot, 6 foot, and I think 8 foot. But as you can see, it's a very dark brown. Let me get it in the sun. It's a very dark brown. But I could cut that in half. They'd be roughly 2 inches by 1 inch. And I could stick those or nail those onto said gate. That's option 1. Option 2 is this. It's bloody heavy. Okay. That beauty. So it's working out about 135 for an 8 foot. And I think it works out about 250 for a 16 foot. So again, with this, I'll probably be able to cut this down into 3. So being wood, I'll be able to cut it myself, whereas this might melt when I'm cutting it. This would be, obviously, I'll be able to cut this myself. And I might be able to make them around about, oh yeah, everybody are going for it on that tree. Yeah, I thought they were trimming it, they're literally removing it completely. Not messing around. They're not messing around. So this one here, again, we'd better cut it. And the downside is it'll probably be, I have to measure it, but I think there'll be about 1.5 inches. Again, it's got slightly rounded corners, but again, I'll be able to round the other corners, the other ones as well. So I think that's the best bet. It's also very similar to cedar in as much as you're better put it out in the sun, leave it. You can do two options. You can oil it, or you can leave it. You can't varnish it because it's apparently it's an oily wood. It releases its own oil. So anything you put on there to seal it, it will also react and come away. So it's like cedar, you have to oil it. Or you can leave it and it goes like a light brown, then goes into silver. So what I might do is put it on, leave it for a year, let it go a lighter brown, and then potentially oil it after that. Because if I oil it now, it's going to go a very dark colour. In fact, they're giving me a bit of a bad bit. Marks all over it, look. Big divots out of it. But down here, there's some form of oil on there, as you can see how dark it's gone. So I'm going to take this bit back and get an exchange, and then order all of it, I think, in the 16 foot. Now the downside to that, like I said, 250 a length. So it's not going to be cheap, but I think it will look fantastic on that gate there. Whatever they're going to be, 1.5 inches with about a 3/4 inch to inch gap in between each one. I think it will look absolutely stunning. So yeah, it's that, all the plastic. So give me comments down below. Would you go dark brown, non-maintenance? It's cheaper as well. So the positives for this, okay, positive number one, it's 150 to 160 for the same 16 foot length compared to 250. So this is 100 more. This one doesn't need any maintenance at all. It will stay whatever color it's going to be. This one you're going to have to maintain to a certain extent, but obviously it will wear naturally and it will look lovely. This one you can actually paint in any color you want, if you don't like the dark brown, that is. This one you can as well, but obviously being natural wood, you won't want to do that. This one also is a bit thicker. Actually, it's about the same. But you could probably screw into the back of that, and the screws won't make any mess on here. So in England, when we use cedar, we normally use copper nails to ensure that they don't react with the wood and make black stains. This you wouldn't have to bother with any of that. You can use whatever you want on it. So again, when you're using screws in this, I'm not too sure what we would have to use in order to make sure that we don't see the screw heads, and whatever screw heads are there aren't going to leave any form of stain. So let me know your thoughts below. Let me know what you would do. Would you go for the natural or non-natural? Would you go for the high maintenance, low maintenance? Would you go for the cheap versus the expensive? Or would you go for the absolute perfect look? And unfortunately, the one that's going to give the perfect look is going to be a lot more work, a lot more expense, and moving forward, obviously, the maintenance and the workload is going to be ongoing. So let me know what you think. And I'll check in with you a bit soon.